This is Chase Matheson with the Patriot Punk Network, and today we have an exclusive interview follow-up on a story that we broke. TCAT Livingston campus, the Tennessee College of Applied Technologies, has recently been accused of possibly fudging their Clery numbers. The Clery Act was enacted in 1990 after a young woman was assaulted and violently unalived, we'll say for social media purposes. And the result was that college campuses now have to publish their crime statistics with the Department of Education and on their website, where students and prospective students can access them at all times. We recently became aware of an instructor who was threatened by students, allegedly, and we have an interview with Mr. Ron Conner coming up, and he's going to tell us exactly what he experienced. Helping me with this interview today is my good friend and co-host, Daniel Wagner.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Matheson?
Oh, not a whole lot, Daniel. This is rather concerning, especially in light of the school shooting that happened today. And I think that school security and safety is a subject that's going to be on everyone's mind. So
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. How are you, Ron?
Good. How are you, sir?
We're doing the best we can with what we have, is what I like to say. So
Understood.
Unfortunately, we have to speak with you today regarding a situation that occurred in 2023, if I believe.
Yes, sir.
Can you just, before we get into the details, can you tell everybody just a little bit about who you are and how you came to be at Tennessee College of Applied Technology?
Sure. So originally I was a student in the building construction program. Did very well there. Caught the eye of my instructor, and he later asked me to become an adjunct for him. I accepted the position, and before I was able to fully start with him, he developed lung cancer and subsequently passed just a couple months later. From that, I stayed in the adjunct role and took up the responsibility for trying to teach the full-time students as well as our high school students.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about what happened on, I believe it was November 8th, 2023?
Yes, sir. So I had a Veterans Day ceremony to attend at a local school in Putnam County. I was cleared to leave, did the ceremony, came back, and there was a picture taped to my desk of two characters, one of them with my name written above his head, and the other one shooting me in the head with a drawn pistol.
Wow. And this was taped to your desk where you were?
Yes, sir.
Your instructor's desk?
Yes, sir. Taped right to the front of it, not on the top of it, right to the front of it, on the bar of the desk where I could see it.
What did you do when you saw that?
I think understandably I was upset. I went and talked to another instructor that I trusted and confided in, and he suggested that we bring it up to the staff. I regrettably did not keep the picture. I was not thinking clearly at the time. I threw it away, and I didn't think much of it at the time. Spoke with the other instructor, and that's when we decided to bring it to administration.
And by administration, who did you first raise the concerns with?
So we originally went to the SRO, and she began investigating immediately. From there, the SRO took it to Jeff Slagle at the school. He's the vice president of operations, and then the president of the school, Cliff Wightman, was later brought into it all.
And what was their reaction, or what did you find out after that happened?
So the initial reaction after the threat was to downplay the situation. I was told that they were just being knuckleheads, just high school teenage angst, and I believed him at that point in time. I never considered that they were serious until what happened next.
So before we find out what happened next, are these high school students or are they college age students?
So yes, these are dual enrollment high school students. They happen to both be from an alternative school, I guess for troubled kids, or I'm not exactly sure. The program's called Reach. And both of those students were a part of that class, yes.
Gotcha. So what happened next? What did you discover about the situation after that?
So a couple days went by and nothing really came of the situation. And another student had gotten afraid of everything that was going on. This is a third party. He came in and showed me text messages that were between two of his other classmates of himself, them threatening to kill me.
Wow. So can we had a little bit of service interruption there. Can you just describe what was in these text messages that you were shown?
Right. So the text messages I was shown was that the two boys who had made the knives and the threats were involved with another set of boys from a previous class. This previous class had attempted to hurt their instructor in the same way that they tried with me. I don't know the full story on that. All I know is that these students had an altercation with him. It potentially got physical, and then I didn't hear anything else other than the adjunct just left one day. He quit. And these two new boys that threatened me were a part of the same group from that Reach group, and they wanted to make it like a ceremony to carry on in the name of their former classmates. What had happened?
That that's disturbing. So just for clarity, how many between the first incident and the second incident, do you know how many homemade knives were discovered?
I think in total there was 4 knives that were discovered.
And do you know where these were hidden or stored or?
So they were hidden under tables. We had elongated, probably 3-foot by 8-foot tables that we put our computers on. They had these bars underneath the main part of the desk, and they were slipped up underneath there in the gap between the bar and the bottom of the table. There was one found above the light fixture in the bathroom, but the majority of them were found inside the classroom, tucked underneath of desks.
So these were all like pretty imminent potential threats then.
That is how me and the SRO felt at the time.
What was the school administration's response to you?
I didn't get told a whole lot when I found the knives and brought them to the front office and engaged with the SRO again. The front office didn't have a whole lot to say. They seemed like they took it seriously at first. But after I left and they continued their discussions, about 2:30 rolled around and I get a call from Cliff Wightman. And he subsequently chews my butt for almost 20 minutes about me escalating the situation too far. I'm going to destroy these children's lives. They were court ordered to be at the school. And that at the end of it, that this was a problem with my classroom management skills.
Did he give any kind of indication why such a over-the-top reaction to?
No, sir.
Did you do anything did you pick on the kids in any way, or were you trying to do anything that, I mean, not that anything would ever warrant this kind of retaliation, but did you do anything that may have made them feel like you were targeting them or anything?
No, I thought I was on good terms with these boys. So the police that handled the initial investigation actually went back and talked to these boys to make sure I hadn't done anything. And even they came back and said that I hadn't done a thing. They didn't know why they had chosen to do this.
I know we spoke last night and you looked at some of the Clery numbers that
Yes,
are
sir.
reported on their website. Do you feel that those numbers are accurate?
Given my situation, no, they're not accurate. This is all in police reports. There's documentation going back a couple years about this situation. And the fact that it is not on a Clery report, I think that shows that it wasn't reported correctly.
Have you, obviously, I reached out to the president of the institution, Cliff, and his response, he did not deny any kind of a heated discussion with you, and he just said that it was over classroom management skills? Did he offer any specific suggestions on what you should have done differently instead of reporting it?
Basically, I was told that this was my trial by fire for the actual position of the full-time instructor, and that what I should have been doing is having them back there measuring boards, tearing apart and rebuilding things, and just constantly busy and on the go. And I do agree with him there. My classroom management skills were subpar, but I had no training. I only had the experience I went off of as a student. And I did ask for help. I repeatedly asked for training, and I got told that it would be in the next year or so. We just had to be patient, and then they would send me to some group thing in Nashville.
Did they really try to frame this as some kind of initiation ritual to make sure you qualified for the position? Am I hearing that correctly?
I was told that this was my trial by fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a weird way to frame it. That just
what are your ultimate concerns, and why did you? First off, I want to say thank you for stepping forward. A lot of people aren't brave enough to go on record, especially since you're still a student at that institution. And for clarity, can you tell people you were an instructor in construction management or construction science?
Building construction technology.
And now you're a student in a different program.
Correct. I'm currently taking machine tool technology.
Okay. So that just, a lot of people would be confused by a student scenario. So
I understand it is a bit complicated.
Do you fear any kind of retaliation for speaking out?
I think anytime you speak a truth that's not wanted, you should fear retaliation. I don't think you should be afraid of it necessarily, but you should expect it.
That is all too well. I've experienced it myself. I'm trying to think, what is your ultimate purpose and goal for stepping forward and speaking out about this? Or do you have any concerns or?
Safety and accountability first. You can't run something if you're lying about something as serious as this. The institution needs to be checked, and it needs to be held accountable. I don't want to see somebody get hurt because somebody's trying to pad their numbers or trying to protect somebody or just plain mishandled a situation. I don't know if it's training that's needed. I don't know what the right answer to this problem is. But I know accountability has to be first.
Do you feel, and I'm not asking you to name any specific names unless you feel comfortable doing that, but do you feel that there's a deliberate effort to underrepresent or underreport crime, whether or not you know the motivation behind it?
All I can speak to without rumor is my case. And seeing as how my case was not presented and was not accounted for in the statistics, I have to say that yes, I do believe that the numbers are not being correctly recorded. And that's my opinion.
That's disappointing to hear. That is.
It is. It really is, because that school, that staff, that teaching staff they have, it's second to none. They have some of the best staff in the entire state. I would bet money on it. I think they're being failed by leadership.
Now, does the president of that campus have any other responsibilities? Is he over any other campuses?
He is the president over the Crossville campus as well.
Do you know anyone or have you heard anything about the Crossville campus? I know that their Clery report also shows a very low crime statistic, and I just thought I'd ask.
I have no firsthand knowledge of that campus, unfortunately.
If law enforcement or anyone like that were to reach out to you, I assume that you'd be willing to fully cooperate.
That's why I'm here. I know there's going to be a little bit of chaos that gets sprung from this, but something needs to change, and I'm more than willing to speak with people.
Well, I appreciate that. I thank you. Daniel, do you have any follow-ups?
Yeah, just I was looking at some of the consequences to underreporting the numbers and being caught. Civil fines could be issued up to $35,000 for substantial misrepresentations, and institutions may be required to return federal funds if they receive during the period of non-compliance. So there's a hell of an incentive for them to make sure not only to cover up the numbers, but to make sure that nobody finds out that these numbers have been covered up. I'm just curious, where do we go forward with this to make sure that this issue is corrected in the future?
If you would, Daniel, just go ahead and bring up the article that I wrote earlier today. I want to read Mr. Wightman's official response. If you scroll down to the very bottom, almost the very bottom, it's like the second to last thing. Keep going. Keep going. It's a screenshot.
Oh, screenshot. Okay.
That right there. Can you make that full screen so I can read it?
It's about as full screen as it's going to get. Do you want me to go ahead and read it?
Hold on. Yeah.
Okay. So TCAT Livingston complies with federal and state law, including the Clery Act. Its annual security report, which is required by the Clery Act, can be found here. Offers a PDF report, a list of criminal offenses that must be reported pursuant to the Clery Act, as well as the number of reported offenses for 2021, 22, and 23 can be found on page 18 through 21. To the best of our knowledge, those statistics are accurate and include all reports of listed offenses. We maintain accurate crime reporting without any incentives to minimize statistics. There are no known criminal or civil liability issues facing our institution or employees. The number of students who may be on judicial diversion or release is not something that is reported to the TCAT and is not information that the TCAT asks its students.
I want to follow up. There was one response specifically that he did not answer, so I followed up and asked him specifically about Mr. Conner's incident, and his only response is that second picture. Daniel, can you read that for us?
Yeah, on this occasion, I had spoken to the instructor about classroom management.
So he did not deny that there was a discussion on classroom management. He did not deny that the incident occurred. And I, as you can tell in the article, if you go and read that at patriotpunknetwork.com/news, you will see that I specifically asked him about the November 2023 incident. So there's definitely some kind of a disconnect between what their almost spotless Clery report shows, which just shows one disciplinary referral for a drug abuse, and what Mr. Conner has described today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Mr. Conner?
Yeah. Those two boys that threatened me, I didn't give up on them after that situation. In fact, I'm continuing to mentor one of them now. They grew up. I think they just needed to be hit in the face with reality. But that doesn't undermine what happened at the level of that I was dealing with. It wasn't right. These boys grew up. They're decent human beings, and if they were to be found out, I don't think people should go after them because they've grown a lot.
That's good. So just for clarity, your biggest concern is way more focused on the reporting of the numbers and the way that it's handled and addressed at the institutional level, rather than trying to go after these young kids.
Correct.
That's I think that's a very mature response and position.
Commendable.
Yeah,
very commendable.
So, Daniel, any final thoughts?
No, none so far. It's just it's a terrible situation, all up and down. It just makes me imagine a scenario where you're like you see there's a sprinkler system in place, you see there's a safety feature in your ceiling, and then come time for a fire, they don't go off, they don't work, they don't operate. People act like that doesn't even exist. It just feels like a very desperate situation. Like I don't know if that's a fair comparison or not, but it kind of feels like you expect that safety net to be there to protect students and staff alike from an incidents like this, and then when you try to actually use that system, it fails you. It just straight up fails you.
Yep.
It is very unfortunate.
Well, Ron, we really appreciate you coming on. Daniel, thank you for stopping in today. And for everyone who watches this, please share the story around, take clips from the interview, and demand accountability from your public officials, because if this is happening at one location, there's a very good chance that it's happening all across the country, or at least all across the state of Tennessee. And there's a reason that these numbers need to be published. Students and parents rely on this information when determining where to send their kids to college, and they deserve the truth. Until next time, never mind the bollocks and watch the Patriot Punkcast.